Maurice Bay, the Helpful Trucker here. In this short video, I'm going to give you some basic tips to help you get the most out of your paid CDL school training so that you can get through and get finished on time, get your CDL, and get started in your trucking career. If you get value from this video at the end, be sure to go below and click the like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you want to be notified as I upload more of these helpful trucker videos. With that being said, let's go right in. First tip, have your learner's permit and your medical card before you start CDL school. Now, it's likely that the school that you're planning on attending is going to tell you that you don't need to have your learner's permit and your medical card before you start school. And they are right in telling you that because they can help you get your learner's permit, obviously, once you get started in school. But what you need to remember, and the reason I'm giving you this tip, is because if for whatever reason you can't get your learner's permit, then the school is not on the hook for making sure that you get your CDL by the end of your course. That is your responsibility to make sure that you've done what you need to do to have your CDL by the end of the course. So, of course, if you're going to a paid CDL school especially, they're liable to tell you, well, that doesn't matter. But again, on the flip side of the coin, if for whatever reason you get in CDL school, you pay your money, and you can't get your learner's permit, if you can't get your learner's permit, that means you can't go out on the road with an instructor. That means all you can do is practice on the yard, doing the different backup tests and doing the pre-trip inspection, but you actually can't get any wheel time out on the road with an instructor or with anyone else that has a CDL if you don't have a learner's permit. So you want to have your learner's permit before you start school, because that's bottom line going to increase your chances of being able to finish CDL school on time. Second basic tip, make sure you know the parts of the truck. Take the time to learn all of the parts of the truck so that you won't have any problems passing the pre-trip inspection. The pre-trip inspection, as you've heard, is probably one of the biggest, one of the parts that most people fail the test on because it's so tedious and so monotonous, and there are so many parts to the truck that you have got to point out for your tester. But make sure you take the time to learn all the parts of the truck. In my opinion, when you're doing the pre-trip, you shouldn't have any problems if you actually know the parts of the truck. And if you have to actually write it down, you know, when you write things down, it has a way of stamping it in your mind. The point of this tip is do whatever you got to do to make sure you actually know all the parts on the truck. And if you know the parts on the truck, then you won't have any problems on the pre-trip inspection. Somebody asked me before about different testers having a person do the pre-trip inspection in different orders. Maybe one person may have to do it in a certain order and another person may have to do it in another order. In my opinion, it doesn't matter what order you are instructed to pre-trip inspect the truck. If you know all the parts of the truck, you shouldn't have a problem with that. Basic tip number 3, learn how to back up the truck. You got to make sure you take the time to learn how to back up the truck. And there's no way I can really teach you how, or really much I can tell you that would help you learn how to back up the truck here on video. The best thing I can tell you as far as backing up the truck is muscle memory. Just repeating something over and over and over again trains your muscles how to do something and when to do something. I guess one of the best tips I can give you as far as learning how to back up is pick a line. Pick a line or pick a spot to gauge yourself by when you're backing up, or to square your truck up with, or to square your trailer up with when you're backing up. That's the best piece of advice that I can give you as far as learning how to back up. But make sure you take the time to learn how to back up the truck, because you're gonna need to know how to do that effectively. Now keep in mind, when you go and take your road test, you're only allowed a certain amount of backups on, you're only allowed a certain amount of pull-ups on your backup test. So you don't want to waste backups. You want to make sure that if you can do the backup in one shot, like a straight back, you shouldn't have to do a pull-up on a straight back. You shouldn't have to do a pull-up on an offset. You may have to do a pull-up on parallel or on 90-degree parking. But if you know how to back up the truck, you should be able to execute basic backing maneuvers. Tip number 4, don't click up with the wrong crowd, okay? This is critical right here, because I would assume that at every driving school, in every driving class, you're gonna have a few, what I would say, cool people. And you're gonna have people that are getting in and out of the truck and they're in line and they're constantly practicing on their pre-trip inspection. And then you're gonna have a few people that are always kind of off to the side, and they're kind of always lagging behind. And when you do walk up on them, their conversation is never about what's going on in driving school, or about learning how to back up the truck, or what you need to do to pre-trip. You know, it's never about that stuff. It's always about something totally irrelevant. Those are what I call the cool people. Don't click up with those people, okay? Because in my opinion, those are the people that are least likely to finish CDL school on time and get their CDL on time. Click up with the people that are actually working, that are actually, like, every second that they're in CDL school, they either backing up the truck, or they're learning the pre-trip, or they're asking questions, or they're doing something totally relevant and hyper related to making sure they finish CDL school on time. So, fifth tip to get the most out of paid CDL school: ask as many questions as you feel you need to. Now, that's a basic tip. I know that, I understand that, but as basic as it is, I observed people when I was in CDL school that didn't know something, that didn't ask, or either took the time to ask the cool people because those were the people that they felt comfortable with. You know, if there's a part on the truck that you don't know what the name of it is, or most CDL schools, they give you a list of parts that you got to point out on your pre-trip. If there's parts on the list that you're not sure what that part is on the truck, make sure you take the time to ask questions. Again, if you know all the parts on the truck, you shouldn't have a problem passing the pre-trip. And if you make sure you're asking all of the questions that you need to, you know, you can't ask too many questions in this situation. You're there to learn. And again, remember, it's not their responsibility to make sure you leave with your CDL. It's your responsibility to make sure you get what you came for, and to make sure you get what you paid for. Sixth tip to get the most out of your paid CDL school: you need to be constantly practicing, drilling, and rehearsing. If you're not watching someone doing the pre-trip or backing up, you need to be doing the pre-trip or backing up yourself. Again, it's your responsibility to make sure that you're getting enough wheel time. It's your responsibility to make sure that you're taking the opportunity to get in the truck and practice on backing up pre-trip. And if you got to stay late, whatever you got to do, that's your responsibility. Repetition, writing it down if you need to, all of these things help to stamp the process in your mind. And the seventh basic tip to help you get the most out of your paid CDL school training: you know, the first tip was to have your learner's permit before you ever start school. So this is a really basic tip. Again, just like all the rest of them, take the time to get in the truck with someone. If you're in school full time, you got 30 days. If you're in school part time, like I did on weekends, you got 60 days. You have a learner's permit. Get in the truck with someone, even if it's just one day. Find somebody in your family or somebody that you know, and just ride with them for one day in the truck. Even if you're just watching, will help you out tremendously as far as being comfortable driving the truck. And of course, how comfortable you are operating and driving the truck can definitely play a factor as far as passing your CDL test. So even if you gotta invest some money into renting a truck and having somebody else with a Class A CDL already renting it in their name, and you just pay the money, and y'all two go out and you just practice shifting, whatever you got to do, even if it's just one day watching, or especially if you can get behind the wheel and just practice as much as you want to for a few hours, that will help you tremendously as far as getting the most out of your CDL training and getting through school on time and getting your CDL. So there you have it, 7 tips to help you get the most out of your paid CDL school training. I hope you got value from the video. If you did, don't forget to click the like button below. And if you want to be notified as I upload more of these helpful trucking videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel.